Salvete, amici. So today we are going to take our understanding of adjectives and we're going to expand that to include a wider array of expressions. Essentially, you'll be able to take every adjective you know and express a couple of additional ideas with just a minor variation to that adjective. So let's take a look at what exactly is being described here. We are talking about superlative adjectives. Oh, thanks. So maybe a little bit about what this word means, and that is superlative. Super is a lot like English, and maybe is enough for us to understand what these are doing. If something is good, that's one thing, but if it's super good, well, that means maybe it's the best or very good. And this lot root here has to do with bringing. And the idea is that we're kind of taking an adjective and we're bringing it up by making it into a superlative. English does this in a few different ways. Latin has one primary strategy that gets employed for all adjectives, but depending on some of the sounds in the original adjective, the superlative might work a little different. So let's go ahead and now we can move on to the topics. So we're talking about superlatives. We'll start out by looking at their English meanings. There's a couple of different ways that an English speaker would translate a Latin superlative, depending on context. Um, and we're looking primarily at standard superlatives. Um, we'll look at the variation that is with superlatives whose stems end in an R sound, and there's just a handful whose stems end in an L sound. But there's also a whole variety of irregular superlatives. That's where a different word root is used as opposed to modifying a previous word root, kind of like the difference between good and best. Um, two different words here that kind of express different degrees of a particular concept. So let's begin with some English examples. So here we've got some weights, 8 kilos, so not quite 20 pounds. We could say those are heavy. That's just an adjective, and we would call this an adjective in the positive degree. Okay. Now, that looks like way more than 8 kilograms to me. What is that? Oh, 45 kilograms. So for me, that looks very heavy. And this is what we call the superlative degree. So positive degree is heavy, superlative degree is very heavy, or we could also say heaviest. Um, so these don't mean the exact same thing in English, but the Romans would use the same word to express these two ideas, and context would be necessary to understand what is meant. Um, English kind of um, figuratively often uses this form here when we mean this, like, I ate the biggest dinner last night. You can tell from context that that doesn't mean that I had the dinner that is in fact the biggest, just that I had a really big dinner. Um, okay, so that's the basic breakdown in English. English will often add est to the end of a word when we want to make that a superlative degree adjective. So let's take a look and see what the Romans do. So what do we have here? This is ancient. This is quite old. The Roman word for ancient is the source for the English word ancient, antiquus, And here um, I'm including the feminine nominative singular ending and the neuter nominative singular ending. Um, in the dictionary or glossary, it's probably listed just under antiquus. So, what we do if we want to say that something is most ancient or very ancient, or I don't know, could we say ancientest? Maybe not. Um, we are going to take our stem, and we get that stem by taking the ending off. Okay, there's our stem, antiqu. And to antiqu, we add isimus. Ah, boom. So isimus for masculine nominative singular, isima for feminine nominative singular, and isimum for the neuter nominative singular. So that's basically how we do the superlative for just about every word. Just add isimus to the stem, and now it means very whatever or most whatever. Um, okay. Now there's a couple of little variations here. If the stem ends in an R, we'll do the superlative a tiny bit differently. So we've got a little dog here. This is a fast dog. You can tell. Look at how quickly those legs are moving. Latin word for fast. Celer for the masculine, celeris for the feminine, and celere for the neuter and the nominative singular. We're going to take off the stem, and from this listing of the adjectives, we can see that things are added to that stem celer. So process is really similar here. Taking off that ending. Our stem is celer. This is much faster than a dog. I'd say this is very fast, the fastest. Most fast. Could we say most fast? Maybe. And we are instead going to add remos. Instead of adding isimus, we'll say remos. Again, rima, calerima for the very fast grammatically feminine thing, calerimum for the very fast grammatically neuter thing. Okay, so we still have the imus at the end. We're just not adding isimus. All right, and then there's just a handful of words that end whose stems end in L that we do almost the same thing with. Keller that we saw before, only we'll be using L instead. So here's tic-tac-toe. You know, if you go first, you can win the game every time. Tic-tac-toe is easy. Latin for easy is facilis for the masculine and feminine, facile for the neuter. Very easy, taking candy from a baby. Most easy, very easy. I think here we could say easiest. That works, right? So we're going to start with our stem. Fuckle, fuckle. All right. And we're going to add limos to the stem. Facilimus. Aum. So facilima for the feminine nominative singular, facilimum for the neuter nominative singular. That is the superlative. You can take just about all of the adjectives that you know now and say, like, this baby is sad right now. Tristes. Tristes was the same triste. So maybe it's not just sad. I mean, that looks like it's the only thing with color in the universe right here, and the baby no longer has it. So this baby is now tristissimus. We could say this baby is wretched. That is miser. Well, miser is the stem. And so that stem ends in R. Say this baby is miserimus. So yeah, that is how we do the superlative. We looked at the various meanings in English. We saw that one Latin word will, depending on context, be equivalent to a few different English expressions. We looked at the standard formation of the superlative, that is ending with issimus, a, we looked at the variant with r, that ends with remus, a, and the variant with l. This is the least common, really just for a couple of words, but that works really similarly. Limos, a, and that is the superlative adjective. Makte, well done. Walete.